The major parties are saying we have to respond to the growth in Queensland, which is going to grow some tremendous amount over the next few years. We need to find money for the roads, the hospitals and the schools that the state will need. We have the same thing on these islands here. Our population currently is around 7,000. I've seen the population double on these islands since I've lived here, and I haven't been here that long. Potentially we have a population of between 20 and 30,000 people on these islands. These islands will not survive unless that infrastructure and those facilities that the mainland people enjoy, that we get to enjoy on these islands as well. There are times when the greater community has to think about the smaller parts of the community who certainly need some assistance. So let's look at some of these island issues and some of these questions that we can talk about. The first one's to do with transport. It's probably one of the most serious issues facing the islands at the moment. Transport to and from the mainland, whether by barge or passenger ferry, adds significantly to our costs on these islands. We don't have any on-island public transport system. We've got a couple of taxis operating on Clay and Russell here. The previous state government integrated the Southern Islands into the Translink system, which was brought us both advantages and disadvantages. While islands we appreciate the benefits of Translink, we certainly object to the fact that we actually are stuck with a special levy that nobody else in the Redland City pays, just for the privilege of using those particular vessels. When we look at the cost of the transport, we're lumped into a zone system which is the same as just to Helensvale. In other words, you can travel from Helensvale to the city less than you can from here to the same place. That's the sort of cost penalty that we're paying. The passenger ferries that we have are increasingly crowded, especially in peak periods. Parking spaces on both the islands and also the mainland are chronic. We're always trying to do things like this to improve them. Our car ferries are slow, they're expensive, and they also harm the marine environment. The current state government has declared that bridging is off the agenda and there's no alternative. There's a very strong movement on these islands for a bridge. It's been there for some time. So basically we have these issues with transport. So the first question I'd like to ask you, if you were elected, what would you do to help reduce the cost and increase the efficiency of transport to these islands? You may also wish to include in your remarks your position on bridging of these islands and on the facilities at Wyman Creek which are going ahead with a private development process at the moment. So let's have some responses to that question. You've got the microphone. Matt, you might have to start. 3 minutes will speak for these guys.
So the first thing that I would do and that I have done is I spoke with Minister Emerson, Minister for Transport, on Thursday, and asked him to consider getting rid of the $88 levy. So I think that would be a good start. And the other thing that we need to do is have a look at rezoning the islands so that they in I think a fairer zone that better represents the distance from the islands to the city. The bridge question has been raised with me innumerable times, and I'm certainly I'm quite supportive of a bridge to the islands, to Russell Island in particular. I understand that there is a financial case for it. The one thing that does concern me though is, would a bridge disadvantage the other islands when it comes to ferry costs? So I think there's probably some unanswered questions in relation to that could be worked through. Parking at Wyman Creek, it just isn't coping with the current volume of people coming to and fro, and we really need to get the infrastructure at Wyman Creek up to speed. And I've raised that with Karen Williams and Mark Edwards, that we need to really make sure that the Wyman Creek PDA is progressed, and that the aim of that PDA should be to have the infrastructure that islanders need. That, for me, that's what is required there. And I think that's answered the question for me.
I believe the only way to fix the issues is to bridge the place. I think that's the only way that you'll be able to stop having to pay all the extra money I believe also that the Weirman Creek is a complete waste of money. I think it'll be a big white elephant, just like Cleveland's turned into. I don't think it's going to do anything that benefits you. I think the Redland City Council needs to get themselves organised to start putting more infrastructure back into the islands. I think for far too long, beautifying Redland Bay or Cleveland does nothing for here. Personally, I live at Redland Bay. I don't want to be at Weirman Creek. I think it'll take away your parking, it'll wreck our boat ramps, and it'll just be a white elephant. I think it'll take away also shopping take away business from the shopping centre of Redland Bay, and I think that'll be detrimental to the local businesses there. But my main thing is that if you want to fix all the parking and you want to fix all the fees that you're being charged, we need a bridge, and that's all there is to it. And I think it can link all the islands together. I can't see that being a problem. But obviously it'd be something that you would have to do, or I'd have to speak to government if I was elected. Other than that though, if you prefer living on an island and you like the island the way it is, then really you should put up with what the payments that you're getting. You should put up with having to pay these extra fees. That's the way I look at it. You either go one way or the other. And this is something that I would have to talk to people about if I got in. And obviously, my idea would be to bridge, and that's the end of that.
The first thing is, I heartily agree with Mac on the $88. That seems inequitable to me, and certainly I'd like to, if he by chance does get elected, let's hold him to account for that removal of the $88. The issue to me with transport, as I alluded to in my opening comments, is that transport is a big issue in the mainland. The problems you've got on the southern Moreton Bay Islands are not actually unique. Some of your issues are unique, sure enough. But we've got the same problem on the mainland, if I can say that I'm a mainlander, as much as I like coming to the islands. Congestion, and we've got the member for Springwood with a big sign saying, widen the highway. Right, well, how wide is it at Springwood? It's 8 lanes, and there's also service lanes as well, so it's 10 lanes. So what does he want to go, 14, 20, 48, 102? Well, that's great, you can make a road as wide as you like. The problem is, it's not the road that matters, it's where the traffic ends up and where it starts from. And that's the same thing with the roads we've got here in the Redlands, in Mount Cotton Road. I agree, it's a dangerous road and it should be tidied up. But if it went to 4 lanes, you'd change the whole character. You'd have to remove the school at Mount Cotton. It's currently in a dangerous position. I drove through it the other day, and how there are not more accidents there, I don't know. I think that school at one stage should have been removed. But anyway, getting to the point. And the same thing with Redland Bay, Cleveland-Redland Bay Road. Again, that needs sorting out, but it doesn't need widening. If you widen it, all you do is move one traffic jam to another. Now, what I think we lack in this country is vision. And what we need is a light rail system to connect Cleveland all the way along Vicky Point, Redland Bay, the terminal at Rhineham Creek, and I agree with the comments about Rhineham Creek. It's short term, it's an afterthought, and I believe it's on a year's hold, because Walker Corporation themselves have obviously got issues with it. What we do need to do is to examine all the options down to the dollars. There's too many top-level studies. We want to get down to the dollars. What's it going to cost for a bridge? What's it going to cost to look at all the alternatives, look at the connections to even down to Jacob's Wells, because that would be the shortest distance. Let's examine all those options, know what the costs are, and then instead of being divided on whether there's a bridge or not, come up with whatever the best option is, work together, and then you'll end up with a viable proposition. Whether future development is going to expand, that's in the lap of the gods, and I've got a query about that, and probably I'll cover that in a later question. Thank you.
Okay, that sounds okay. Mr. President, I'm afraid I have to correct you on one issue when you made your original announcement. You said it was the previous state government to actually organise the TransLink integration for the Southern Waterway Islands. It was the current government who actually did that. And as you as residents of the islands will be well and truly aware, the current government did that through negotiation with Redland City Council in December 2012 under a contract that saw a levy special charge, which is provided for under Section 94 of the Local Government Act, that is still in place and will be in place supposedly until the end of what was supposed to be a trial. That trial is supposed to come to an end in December 2015. We all know what happens with levies that are imposed as part of a trial. They tend to cling on for a little while. One would like to think that wouldn't happen. Redland City Council in this financial year get $948,000 coming in from that levy from these islands. I agree with Mr. Keogh agrees that it is a totally inequitable impost on the community. I've said to Redland City Bulletin's reporter, Judith Kerr, when she asked a series of questions, that would be one of the first things that I would investigate when I was elected with the Mayor of the Redland City Council. It is the case that state government pay to the TSA Ferry Group, which are the entity that organise Bay Island Transit System, the sum of $7,014,940 in the last financial year to run the service. Add to that what Redland City Council is supposed to be contributing direct back to state government. It seems it's a very expensive service to run. One of the reasons it's expensive is because there is only one person running the business. Competition is said to make things cheaper. I'd like to think that we could do something to think about investigating alternate options. In terms of the bridge issue, I've said, and I've got Labour's commitment to this, that we will do a feasibility study on all water transport options and bridging issues, and maybe even tunnel issues, which I don't think anybody's put on the table so far. We've got these huge machines hanging around somewhere in Brisbane from doing various tunnels, and that could be a sensible option given the Ramsar status of the wetlands. Labour has committed to building an entity called Advanced Queensland, and that would be the body that would undertake a feasibility study. My job as your elected representative is to argue strongly for that to be done, fully costed, as David has suggested, and we work out what the whole community wants, and we advocate for the whole community, and we get something happening. 40 years of being ignored is not good enough.